Trying to fulfill your dreams and your goals without addressing your mindset is like trying to swim to the surface of the water with an anchor tied to your ankle. Try to force our reality to fit our small and limited belief. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and taint my blessing, taint my answered prayer because I'm looking over yonder to somebody else's. All right, so today we're talking about our self-sabotaging behaviors. Like, if we want true self-improvement, we have to stop the self-sabotage. We have to stop. We have to cut it. What is it?
Cut it out. Get out of here. Cut it out. I love you, kid. Come on now. Cut it out.
Cut it out. Yeah, I did the hand signs for the audio. Cut it out. I'm pretty sure I used to do it on a podcast before, but now there's a video so you can see the shenanigans. So, why are we talking about this? Well, you're in your winter arc, you're trying to better yourself, you want to resonate with a life of your dreams, you want to become living proof. There's a long list of wants that we want to do. We want to have transformational and yet lasting change in our life. I pray. Y'all don't hear my dog snoring. Okay, anyways. We want to have lasting change in our life, right? Well, your intentions might be there. You might set the plan. You might do all these things. You might take the steps and the actions that you need to, but you'd never address your self-sabotaging ways. Never. Now, what is self-sabotaging? I feel like it's used a lot. This is the definite. Y'all know me. I like to look up a nice definition. This is the definition that I got. It's intentional action or inaction that undermines your progress and prevents you, and I added or delay, so prevents or delays you from accomplishing your goal. One more time for the people in the back. It's intentional action or inaction that undermines your progress, that prevents or delays you from accomplishing your goals. That is what self-sabotaging is. Now, emphasis on the word self. Okay, because for us to talk about self-sabotaging ways, there has to be a level of awareness and accountability to not blame others, to realize when we're the problem here, we're the drama, it's because of us. Yes, external things happen. Yes, we encounter people that aren't great for us, but there are also a lot of things that are in our control and our will and in our hand that we are also falling short with, right? And I just want to say that most of us, we don't fear true failure because a lot of times we see self-sabotage in a sense of when it, like it says, to accomplish your goals, when we're trying to strive for greatness, when we're trying to do something new, when we're trying to hit those goals, when we're trying to create lasting change and become living proof, right? A lot of us, we're not afraid of failure. We don't fear failure. But actually, we're afraid of our own greatness. We're afraid of our own success. And this, I always tell you, this podcast is called Let It Resonate. So that was me. And it's still something I'm working with. I don't fear that I'm going to fail at something, especially because I'm someone, I'll try it, it doesn't work. I'm like, it didn't work, try again, on to the next one. So clearly failure is not a true hurdle for me. Not as much as I try to blame it to be. I give the fear of failure more credit than it actually has in my life. When really it's fear of greatness, fear of success, which sounds very counterintuitive, but it's so many people that have this fear. Because like I said, I'm very much a get that dirt off your shoulder. Like, get up, brush your knees off, call it a day, try again tomorrow. Oh, it didn't work that way? I got you one more time. We're going to take what worked, take the little pieces that worked, and build something new. So we can't say it's fear of failure, right? And failure only happens when you stop trying. I've never stopped trying. But like I said, there's something there where there were still reasons for me to self-sabotage. So I had to do the deep introspective work, and I wrote down, like, what am I afraid of? And the next line that came after that was, what if I messed up in my success? What if my success is a fluke? What if I can't handle the new responsibilities and the requirements of me with my success? That doesn't point to fear of failure. That's fear of what comes with success. What's on the other side of it. Sometimes we don't fear failure. Oh my god, that's a tongue tie. Maybe say afraid of. Sometimes we're not afraid of failure, but we're afraid of success because we believe we don't deserve it. We feel like we're a fluke in the system or imposter syndrome, and you don't believe you're supposed to be here. So you don't want to get caught being a fraud, right? And so there are many ways and many reasons we can self-sabotage, but I'm talking about the reasons that I can only speak from, from experience. Now, how can self-sabotaging ways show up in our life? Because maybe you're like, I don't self-sabotage. Maybe you think of self-sabotage as like a blatant thing. Like you have a project tomorrow and you pretend like you're sick because you're scared to present. Or I don't know, just like something so drastic. Like you have a project tomorrow, but you for some reason delay it or don't do it or delete it or whatever case may be, so you don't have to present your work in front of someone. Yes, that's self-sabotage, but that's very blatant, very direct, very out there. Ah, ah, ah. Self-sabotaging behaviors wears many different masks. Sometimes discreet, sometimes in your face. Sometimes you don't even think it's a self-sabotaging behavior. You're just like, that's just me, right? And so I went through some of the different masks that it can wear, and I'll be honest, I've even started some because some of them I'm still working on, but every single mask that I'm going to list for self-sabotaging behavior, I have worn at some point in my life, or I'm still learning to take it off. Still learning to hang that mask up. Actually, just put it in the fire and burn it. We don't need it no more. But different ways it shows up in your life is procrastination. You delay the work you need to do. You don't actually want to do the work because you don't want to fail at the work. So you might as well be complacent and never starting something new. Be complacent and taking your time. Be complacent and never starting rather than starting and failing, right? People pleasing. Like I said, some of these we're still working on. People pleasing is a way of self-sabotage. You try to please others so that you don't have to live a life that truly resonates with you. You don't have to actually put your true self out there and not be accepted for who you are, not be accepted or approved or whatever it is you're desiring as your true self. So you self-sabotage and put yourself into the small-minded box of others, of what others' expectations are, society's expectations, XYZ. I think of self-sabotage, I'll just use my examples. I went through a phase where I wanted to make my life so aesthetically pleasing that it truly self-sabotaged the growth of who I was internally and just being my true self. So instead of going deep with myself, pursuing things that I actually want to do, being vocal about the things that I genuinely like, the things that I care about, things that are important to me, I would push all of that down so that I could be aesthetically pleasing, so I could be pleasing to others. And that's self-sabotaging because all you're doing is putting yourself into a cage and locking it up and throwing away the key. That is like the ultimate version of self-sabotage because there's no way you can flourish, there's no way you can grow, there's no way you can shine, there's no way you could be God's light when you are only wearing the mask to people please, right? And you're just hindering your growth. You're hindering the journey that God has laid out for you, the journey of your dreams. God wants you to, he gave you a gift for a reason, but you decide to suppress it in other to please other people. Clearly I went deep into that because I'm still working on it. Self-sabotaging ways is also comparison. I think that's just a given. Like you knock your light, you knock your progress, you knock your now. You disregard and throw away your now, your present, and the beauty of what it is because you want to compare to someone else. And 9 times out of 10, you're not comparing on an even playing field. You're comparing your step 20 to someone's step 300. It doesn't even matter. We shouldn't. What's the saying? We don't compare too bad. What? Right. And so, and I want to emphasize on comparing your now because where God has you is for a reason, for a season. So you have to be grateful for it. Me, right now, I live in an apartment. I love that. I'm very grateful for that. I have friends who have homes. I have friends who haven't had an apartment yet. I have friends who's bought multiple homes and started investing. And I could easily say, oh, like, I'm 26, I'm not doing that yet. But I am so, so, so grateful for where I am right now, where my fiance and I are, our pup. Like, this is perfect for us. And there were times I would try to look and say, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, but also remembering the goals that we have for ourselves in the future. Also remembering that this was something that I once prayed for, so I'm actually living in a testimony. I'm living in an answered prayer right now, and I almost said a curse word, but I'm not gonna be the one to sit here and taint my blessing, taint my answered prayer because I'm looking over yonder to somebody else's. And we don't even know that's an answered prayer for them, but that's a whole nother thing in itself. Another way to self sabotage is unforgiveness. Another mask that I am prying off. Okay, I am working at. I am a work in progress, but I want to share the journey with you guys. So unforgiveness is. I think everyone has heard this scenario, but it's like creating a poison drink for someone and then drinking it yourself. You're not harming the person who actually hurt you, abused you, or this, that, and the other. And having unforgiveness is such a bitter, bitter thing. Bitter physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so, of course, that's going to put you in self-sabotaging ways and ways beyond what you think. Maybe unforgiveness, you self-sabotage because you're trying to be nasty and you're trying to be bitter, this, that, and the other, so you miss out on opportunities, or you just miss the opportunity of seeing the beauty and joy of things, right? But also spiritually, like, you are spiritually locked up, your heart is hardened. That is such a self-sabotaging thing because you have unforgiveness. And I'm not saying what you went through, what you experienced, what was inflicted onto you wasn't real, but you have to get to the root of forgiveness. And forgiveness is not quick reconciliation. It's not forgetting about it. It's not belittling the situation. It's not brushing it under the rug. It's not even turning around to be that person's friend or talk to them again. It's not about any of that. So you have to start with forgiveness. And a lot of us, me, have unforgiveness to people who's no longer living. What are you doing with your life? Unfortunately, this person is no longer living, but you still hold a grudge and animosity or have some type of unforgiveness towards them. That is such a self-sabotaging thing. Like I said, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. I always forget which one I said. So that's something you have to target and be aware that unforgiveness can be a self-sabotaging thing. And let's not forget unforgiveness of self. I said I would not talk in my hands. Let's not forget unforgiveness of self. That is another way of self-sabotaging things because you don't think you deserve it, because you did something that you haven't forgiven yourself for. God has already forgiven you. You've already asked for forgiveness, you repent, you changed your ways, because that's part of repentance. But you are stuck on it. You're hung up on what you did or what you went through, or the version of self that you are no longer. And so you play yourself small and you self-sabotage because you can't forgive yourself, right? I have another one that started here. I'll save that one for last. I think I went in on people pleasing and unforgiveness. Give myself a break. Overworking is also a form of self-sabotage. Just how procrastination or a form of underworking, overworking is too. Just 9 times out of 10, you're like putting out busy work. You're just trying to make yourself seem busy, but you're not being intentional with it. So that is a form of self-sabotage. Isolation. I this one's like bittersweet for me because for a while I'm like, am I self-sabotaging through isolation? I did go through a period of that. I did isolate myself, and that was a form of self-sabotage because one, I tried to cut off the lifelines of family and friends that were here to support me through trials and tribulations. But now I'm really am like a homebody, but it's not an isolation thing. Like I said, I nurture those lifelines. But if you find yourself self isolating in the sense of you don't know why you're doing it, or maybe you feel ashamed at something, or maybe you're going through something, you feel like no one can help you, that can easily slip into a self-sabotaging behavior, especially if it's something you go to. It's your go-to thing when trials and tribulations come up, when you do things that you're not proud of. Self-isolation is definitely going to be a self-sabotaging behavior and a crutch at that point. Perfectionism. We're back on me. Me, you, we. Perfectionism is a form of self sabotage. Like I said, that all or nothing mentality to start is going to always sabotage the journey, the vision, the goal, because you're not going to start. It is what it is. Like, you want to show up perfect. You want to show up perfect. Like, I posted my first aerial video of me not actually getting a skill, and it felt good. Like, I don't I don't ever want anyone to assume that my aerial journey is perfect and I just get every skill I'm given. Like, it took me to get my crossback straddle in 5 6 weeks. Like, you may not know the skill. I'll put a video up, but it took me like 5 6 weeks. But I recorded all 5 6 weeks, but I only posted the perfected one. And so it's self sabotage because one, it really does eat away at you, and over time you have this now ingrained mindset or pattern that you only can show up as perfect. You're only liked as perfect. You're only validated as perfect. It's only good if it's perfect. So then that ultimately just a snowball of self sabotage, because how many things are you gonna hold off until it's perfect? And baby, 1% of things, probably 0.5% of things actually show up as perfect, actually start as perfect. Okay, we want to focus on progression, not perfection. The need to control. Man, I know I said this was about me, but gosh, now that I'm like reading it on camera, it's rude. The need to control is self sabotaging. One, you can't control everything. Release control. You know who's in control? God. You control what you can, but when you try to control other things, that is such a self sabotaging thing. Because one, you are just wasting energy and time, but also you probably ruin relationships. You probably ruin growth for yourself. It's guys, I am no longer, I don't wear that mask anymore, but I very much was, I don't want to say a control freak. That's not nice, but you know what I'm trying to say. I wanted to control everything, and if I couldn't control everything, then I wasn't showing up. It wasn't going my way. What? Why? And even hear myself say it now, like I could laugh at myself, but it's like, gosh, like there were so many things that, so many opportunities, relationships, friendships, this, that, and the other that could have went different if you didn't have this desire to control. But hey, we learn when we learn, and we forgive ourselves. We forgive ourselves. And then undermining ourselves. I think that's like the most common face of self sabotage that people think of. You can't take a compliment, you belittle yourself, this, that, and the other. Like, I think that's just the most blunt, expressive way of self sabotage. It's very out there in your face. You know, the person that belittles themselves, they can't take compliments, all things like that. That is self sabotaging in its way. And then the last one that is also starred is avoidance. Am I trying to avoid this conversation? No, but avoidance is a form of self sabotage. Why? You're avoiding things, whether it's a conflict, whether it's. Here's the thing. Let me just tell y'all me. I realized within the last 2 years I had a big problem with avoidance. If someone asked me something I didn't want to answer because I probably couldn't show up the way I wanted to, I couldn't do it the way they needed me to, I would just not respond. On top of the fact that I'm already an awful texter and I take 3 to 5 business days to respond even when I want to, that was making it worse. And then I was like, oh, I'm avoiding like tough situations. I'll give you an example. I was a nanny. My rate was what it was. It was 24 an hour. Now, I had a family that wanted me, but they're like, oh, we want your rate to be 21 an hour. I should have just said no, but that's neither here or there. I settled on 21 an hour, but I did tell them, like, since it's 21 an hour, I won't do the like cleaning and things like that, the housework, things like that. Well, my first day, they hand me a broom. It was like, after every shift, can you clean up the kitchen? I I swept. I was like, I'll sweep because I feed the baby and she might drop stuff. I'll sweep. That's fine, but that's it. Now, when they started texting me like after my shift, like, "Hey, tomorrow, do you mind like helping out with this? Do you mind helping out with laundry?" Instead of responding, I would just not. I would be like, "This is weird. I already told y'all. Like, we already explained what the rate is, why it's this, and what's been omitted." But I wouldn't respond back. I would just wait until the next shift, and then they were like, "Oh, did you get my text?" No. And then of course in person I'm like, oh well, I we can just pay that 24 an hour if you want me to do that. But nonetheless, I could have did it right there, but I wait a full 24 hours or less to do that. Or when they say, hey, can you babysit outside your scheduled hours, knowing I already say I'm not available these times, instead of just saying no, I wouldn't respond back. And it was a lot of things like that. But then also I notice I avoid situations when someone invites me somewhere and I already have a schedule conflict. Instead of just saying sorry I can't make it, I just want to text back. And then I noticed avoidance with success. So when I was going through the job process, I would get like messages from recruiters and things like that. And I would show my fiance, I'd be so excited. I would say my prayer, this, that, and the other. And then he'd be like, so what'd you say back to them? I didn't respond yet. He'd be like, what are you waiting on? I don't know. I don't know. And it would take me hours or even days to respond back to a recruiter. All of these are hindering my growth and my progress. Thank God that I've always encountered people, whether the recruiters, opportunities, friends, or family, that look past it. But that's not something I want people to look past. That's something I want to get through. So avoidance is definitely a way of self-sabotage. I went in on that one, okay? Ooh, are you hot? Because I am. Make sure my edges are still there because I just really went in on myself. But it's fine. It's fine. That's neither here or there. All right. And then lastly, I just want to cover the why. So I don't have, there's a long list of whys. Like this is not a list that you can exhaust. This is a infinite list. But just I wrote 4 whys on why we self-sabotage. And then next episode, we're going to go over the tips. So one, low self-esteem. I think that covers a good bit of them. With comparison, undermining, isolation, need to control. These can all trigger from low self-esteem. Now, why do I say that? You just don't feel like you're enough, whether it's internally or externally. I hope it's not externally, but internally or externally, there's a broken record on in going through your head that you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not worth it, you don't deserve this, you don't deserve to be in these spaces, right? And we can't downplay the fact that that could have been external. We can't downplay the fact that you may have been around someone that said that, but also if you weren't, somewhere somehow you just a little thought, a thought that ran away and became a belief, it started just replaying a broken record in your head. So now you move off your thoughts. Here's the thing. When it think about literally just think about a train. If you're on a train and the train says going southbound, right? You hop on the train and you go southbound. But if you knew your ticket said and you needed to go northbound, why did you hop on the southbound train and you just go with it and you just rolling, 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 and it's like a train of thought, right? So you took that train of thought all the way southbound to where now the next station is a belief, and now you have the belief that you're not enough. And usually, like when we self-sabotage for low self-esteem reasons, not thinking we're enough reasons, we're trying to force our reality to fit the mindset that we have. So we play small, we self-sabotage, we throw in the towel, we undermine ourselves, we compare ourselves. We try to make our reality fit into this such small-minded thought process that we have for ourselves to make them match. That's really how it is. Like I said, we try to force our reality to fit our small and limited belief, whether it was imposed by external reasons or internal reasons. We took that train of thought, it became a belief, and now we're trying to match our reality with our belief by self-sabotaging. Next, fear of success. We talked about this, but fear of success is going to be fear of heightened responsibilities, expectations, fear of a heightened audience, more eyes are on you, fear of short-lived success because you feel like it was a fluke, you don't belong here, imposter syndrome. I feel like with fear of success, for me personally, like Let It Resonate has 80 episodes, right? And it has 80 audio episodes, about 5 video episodes, right? But it didn't take until maybe episode 50-ish, right around like the 40, 50-ish, for me to feel like, oh, no, like I'm a podcaster. Like I do this. Like I always felt like something was gonna happen. It was gonna be exposed that I don't really deserve to be here. That I wasn't supposed to be in this space. That I'm a fraud, right? How are you a fraud about speaking to a mic about your life? telling people your journey. How? But there was this, and it honestly it increased. Like it was almost like a, ooh, right? Because we're going up, and so you're starting. You're like, whew, okay, I'm just putting myself out there. Just putting myself out there. And then like the peak of it was when I was starting to get the most downloads. So that was around the 40, 50 mark. I was getting the most listeners and downloads, and I'm like, okay, it's more people resonating with me. And what if someone calls me out? What if I'm doing something wrong? What am I doing wrong by speaking about my experiences and how I'm telling you guys how I'm realizing them, how I'm experiencing them, how I'm getting through them, right? It's very different if I'm out here just listing out prescription medicine for people like this is what you need and I'm diagnosing you and X Y like right? But even then like you feel like your first time was a fluke or something. You feel like your success was on accident. And so that's your fear of success. You feel like it's on such a shaky foundation. Like one step and you're crashing back through. You're burning back down to where you started or even worse, right? And so usually you believe that you don't deserve to be in the space. You don't deserve to have this opportunity. You don't deserve whatever the success is for you. So you self-sabotage. You self-sabotage in ways by being a perfectionist. You self-sabotage in a way by people-pleasing. You self-sabotage in a way by procrastinating. You self-sabotage in a way by avoidance of success, by overworking. There's so many ways you can self-sabotage when it comes to fear of success. And it's because you feel like you're not qualified or you're unforgiving of an old version of yourself or you don't believe that you should be here. It's plain and simple as that. Next, fear of the unknown. I don't have too much on that because it's the unknown. It's the abyss. It's like, you want me to walk through this whirling hole that just popped up and you said it's going to be all right? Yes, the fear of the unknown, okay? Prioritizing your familiar over your growth, for prioritizing your familiar over your goals and your dreams and your desires and God's plans for you. What's familiar, even though it may suck, even though it's something you don't care for, or something you don't want to be in, is something that doesn't resonate with you, is something that you're exhausted with, you rather be there because you're familiar. You already know what's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Boom. It's going to happen just like that. I already know my pay. You might be living paycheck to paycheck, but at least you know the check's going to come every week or month, whatever the case may be. Your familiar trumps your growth. If your familiar outweighs the success that will be on the other side. So you just stay complacent, right? And lastly, lastly, this one kind of embodies all of them, but I still made it with one in itself. I still made it number 4. Number 4, you are attached to your negative beliefs or limiting beliefs. You are loyal to them, all right? So let's use a train example. So you're at a train station, right? At a train station, trains come, look, they left and right, they come and go, they up and down, right? And you have every right to hop on whatever train you want to. Well, with the ticket, right? You have every right to hop on the train that you desire to get on. So you want to go on a train to Seattle. But you see trains going here, you see trains going to California, you're going to see trains going to Texas, you see trains going there, you see trains going everywhere. But your mind is set on Seattle. But for some odd reason, your brain is wired to take you all the way back to Florida. Your brain, you just start taking the steps to hop on the train to Florida. And while you're sitting on the train to Florida, you're complaining. You're like, I was supposed to be in Seattle. Seattle has opportunities for me. Seattle was the goal. Seattle was the plan. Trains are literally just like thoughts, like a fish in a pond. You're more than welcome to just watch them come and go. They can swim by. You can do that. You don't have to interact with them. But the moment you interact with it, the train is set on where it's supposed to go. So the train's set to Florida. You're going to Florida. And you might question, and you might kick, and you might scream, but also the nice, sweet little lady next to you will be like, well, sweetie, why did you hop on the Florida-bound train? And that's kind of what it's like with your thoughts. Train of thoughts, right? So these thoughts come and go, this, that, and the other. You're more than welcome to observe and let it leave. You're more than welcome to let it pass you by. You're more than welcome to watch it, but also not hop with the thought that no longer, that's not pleasing to you, that's not of God, that's not of God's truth, that's not of your goals and your wills and your desire, right? You're more than welcome to sit on the bench and observe until that train to see it to train to Seattle pops up and you're like, oh, there's my train. That's my train I'm going with. I'm on the right track. But a lot of us are so committed. We're so loyal to these negative beliefs and these negative thoughts. And you know what I got? And you guys know what I say. Thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs dictate our actions. So you're so loyal to the belief at this point. You're so loyal to the belief that you're not worth anything. You're so loyal to the belief that you're not worthy of things. You're so loyal to these negative beliefs that you ultimately self-sabotage. That's the next step, an action, right? The action is going to be your self-sabotaging behavior. So these attachments or the loyalty to these limiting beliefs and these limiting thoughts and these negative thoughts are going to dictate your steps. They're going to dictate where you walk, right? Yes, your mind might say, "Oh, I want to go here. I want to go to these goals and these dreams. I want to go to what God has fulfilled for me." But you're so loyal to this belief, this negative belief that you're not worthy of things or whatever the case may be. Money is scarce, whatever the case may be. That you always hop on the train going to the wrong direction, and that train of thought is what you run with and you stay loyal to it. You might be upset, you might be complaining, you might say you want something different, but you never take the first step to address a different mindset, to debunk the lies. Fill it with truth. Fill it with truth. Read your Bible. If you read your Bible, you can fill your mind with the truth of God's love and His will for you. If you actually start believing and speaking life over yourself, maybe that can fill up the truth. And then these thoughts, these intentional thoughts, these intentional things that you're doing are going to become your next beliefs. And then your new beliefs going to create new actions. And these new actions are going to take you to the train of thought that you actually need to be on. Like the train scenario is great, but I also think about it like this. If the ocean is pushing you forward, it's very easy. The current is going this way. The current is God, your dreams, everything is pushing you this way. But you have this mindset, you have this belief, and it keeps pushing you the other way. It will always be a rift in the direction or the movement of your growth and your success. Right? And trying to become greatness without addressing your mindset, trying to fulfill your dreams and your goals without addressing your mindset is like trying to swim to the surface of the water with an anchor tied to your ankle. Maybe someone can do it. It would take a lot of strength and muscle, but you have a lot working against you. It's a lot that's pulling you down. And you're looking around and you don't see it. You don't see what's holding you back. You don't understand. It's your own self. It's literally your own self, your mindset. So guys, I want you guys to do the journal prompts. Journal prompts are either in the description or at the end of this video. I want you to, one, I gave you a list of different masks of self-sabotage where it's not the only ways, but see how you've been self-sabotaging in your life. Then two, I want you to go over your why. Your why could be from low self-esteem. It could be from fear of failure. It could be from fear of the unknown, or it could be from loyalty to negative or limiting beliefs, or it could be more. I want you to identify your why, and then we're going to come back to the next episode and we're going to go over tips to conquer those self-sabotaging behaviors. Until next time, I pray that one thing from this episode resonates with you. As always, have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll catch you later.